Welcome to the Metabolic Momentum webinar. We're going to allow some people to jump on and we'll get started shortly. I want you to turn up the volume on your computer or your cell phone so you can hear what I'm saying. I want you to turn off all distractions as well. So make sure that you're giving all attention to this webinar because we're going to go over a lot of things that will help you a lot. Here's my disclaimer is that this presentation is published online for informational purposes only. You always seek the guidance of your doctor or other qualified healthcare practitioner. If you have any questions about this before starting any of the things that I may or may not talk about in this program. So you may be here because you've suffered with fatigue, you just don't feel right in your body, you don't know where to start, you may have weight issues, you just feel run down and confused about where to start, what to do next, and how to follow through with all the things that you may be bombarded with. So my promise to you is by the end of this training, you're going to know the hidden signs that your metabolic engine is stuck, the 5 most common things that are breaking it down, and then the 3-step easy repair sequence you can start this week without any type of extreme dieting. But a little bit of backstory. Who am I? My name is Dr. Mike Okuchi. In 1999, my grandmother passed away at the age of 61. And that really started my journey down this path as I wanted to look into more of a natural, holistic way to help others so that they never got to the point that my grandmother did. And in 2001, I started in chiropractic school and graduated in 2004 and started in practice. But it really wasn't until 2011 that my own health started to decline and I needed to make a change. And I really dove into a lot of the stuff that I'm going to talk about today. And it took me about a couple years, about 18 months for me to kind of get out of that funk. And then in 2017, decided to sell my practice in California, move back home to Hawaii and start my practice in Hawaii. But then pandemic hit and I found that I could do a lot of the things that I was doing in practice and helping people online. So here we are. And a little bit about past history. This is me. I was featured on a bunch of different TV programs. Our office in Irvine, California was voted best in Irvine and all that stuff. So yeah, I am a real person. This is not AI, as my kids and my wife would like to say. So let me start off with what exactly is metabolism? Everybody hears this term, but what exactly does that mean? So metabolism, I want you to think about as like a car. The metabolism is your body's energy system. This is the engine of your body. And this is how you produce, use, store fuel. And it's all based upon the signals that your body's receiving. So you have energy production, converting food into usable energy use, where that energy that's being produced gets used by the organs like your brain, your muscles, your heart. All of that stuff needs to use energy that's being converted from the food into usable energy. And then you have the most famous one that everybody knows about energy is the energy storage. And this is where your body decides whether calories will go as fat storage or if it will be burned for energy. And then another part of metabolism that most people overlook is the repair and building. This is, how as you age, you feel like, man, my recovery is just not the same as it used to be. Or I'm not able to put on muscle and I'm not able to burn fat as efficiently as I used to. And this is what happens to your metabolism. Now, a little bit of a side note here is that your metabolism actually does not slow down as you age. I know we've been told otherwise, right? We know that your metabolism doesn't slow down as you age. And I'm going to talk to you about what are some of the things that do cause the slowdown over time. So here are some of the hidden signs that your metabolism may be stuck. You may notice as you get older that as the afternoon comes around, you just feel sleepy. This is what I call the 3 p.m. crash. Or you need some type of snack. Towards the end of the day, you need your Starbucks coffee. Or some of you may be waking up tired, even though you're getting 6 to 8 hours of sleep tonight. And you need that jolt of caffeine just to feel normal. Maybe you may have cold hands, cold feet, Your belly may be stubborn. I know for some of the women in my practice, this is one of the big things that they always keep telling me is, Doc, I need something to help me drop my waistline, even though I'm trying all these diets and exercise programs. This is a sign that your metabolism is stuck. And here's a whole bunch of things that you may not notice that is tied to your metabolism. Okay. So we're going to go over a bunch of things later on how we're going to remedy all that. Now, a broken metabolism steals more than just weight, steals more than just the vanity things that we think. Okay. So you're waking up already sluggish. You got brain fog, low patience, irritability. Does that sound like you? Put a yes in the comments if this is you. Okay. Having to say no to activity where you feel like, man, I'm just run down. Or you can't even have the energy because whenever you do partake in those activities, it just drains you. This is a sign that your metabolism is broken. And you can see that it's stealing more from your life than just weight. I know this is a really big one for a lot of people. Just the lack in confidence. I don't want to take photos. I hate looking at the photos that I take. Or my body self-image is just wrecking my intimacy. Or just feeling like your body is working against you no matter what you do. And if nothing changes, this is a really big thing that I always tell patients. If nothing changes, it gets more expensive in terms of energy, health, confidence, and time, because it just doesn't get better. It actually keeps snowballing and snowballing until you feel like there's no more hope. But I'm going to share with you that there's 3, sometimes more, but there's 3. I want to give you some bite-sized things to munch on here. There's 3 things that we can optimize your metabolism. So this first secret is that your metabolism is a signal response, right? It's not something where it's just a thing that's on its own. It's responding to the signals that it's getting. Therefore, a lot of people rely on discipline. All right, they're like, if I'm more disciplined about my diet, if I'm more disciplined about this, it's not necessarily that more discipline equals the solution. If the main signal of your body is feeling that it's unsafe, right? So you can have all the disciplined regimens out there, but if your body is still thinking that it's running away from a tiger, your metabolism is going to respond to that to keep you alive. So this is how health and disease can occur, right? I just said a key phrase there. This is how or disease can occur, because I always teach patients that health and disease are one part of the continuum. It's on the same continuum. So your body will get a signal. It creates a response to the signal, which then becomes your outcome. That's how your entire body works. So when the body is getting signals that threaten it, it will shift into survival mode. This is the running away from the saber-toothed tiger, the bear. Anything that's trying to kill you, your body only thinks about one thing, which is survival. And all of the metabolic resources are going to be diverted towards survival, because your body doesn't care about digesting an apple, making a baby, fighting off the flu, yada, yada. All the things that's geared towards thriving, it doesn't care about that. It only cares about surviving. So it diverts all the resources mainly towards raising your blood glucose levels to supply your brain with energy, your muscles with energy, and to make sure that your nervous system is alert so that you can see better, your heart increases, your muscles start to get more tense so you can run away or fight. All of this stuff is dedicated towards survival, not thriving. And is there any wonder why that we suffer from a lot of the thriving things that's put on the back burner? Because the body's in survival mode. Okay. So here's the stress response. Hans Selye, years and years ago, found that when animals get stressed, they go through this 3-stage process: alarm, resistance, and then exhaustion. So if you don't get out of the alarm stages, you then transfer into the resistance. This is prolonged, or what we consider chronic stress. And each phase has a different physiological response. Okay. So the alarm phase is totally different than the resistance, and also the exhaustion phase. Most people hover between the resistance and the exhaustion phases. And this is where you just don't feel right. You go to the doctor, they run your labs, and then they tell you, oh, your labs look fine, or some of the little things are off. We're going to put you on this medication. And they're not doing anything to change the response. So your body's going to keep doing these responses because the signal is still there, right? So we're going to go over some of the things that affect the metabolism based upon what's going on with the survival response, because you're getting the stress signal. So you get stressed out, stress hormones will rise. And this is the I'm wired but tired, right? Anybody feel that? Put yes in the comments. You wake up in the morning, you're so tired. At nighttime, you just can't go to bed because you're just wired. And it's this paradoxical response of, why can't I go to sleep? I'm so tired. Okay? This is a survival mechanism because your body doesn't want to go to sleep because it thinks it's going to be threatened. Now your blood sugar gets unstable. You can only sustain that for a certain period of time until you crash. And this is usually by 3 o'clock in the afternoon. This is what I call the 3 p.m. crash. Your insulin resistance increases because your body can only take so much of blood glucose being in circulation that it just says no more. And this is what creates the insulin resistance. Your thyroid becomes more sluggish. Your digestion slows down. Your sleep becomes lighter, even if you can get to sleep. So if you can get to sleep, you notice every little thing, a noise, a light, whatever wakes you, and your recovery drops. So you feel, maybe you may work out and you feel tired and you feel sore the next day and then the next day after that, and you just can't get that metabolic engine running, okay? And you have more of a bias towards fat storage. And this is the person that says, no matter what I do, I just gain weight or gain fat around my belly, okay? So if this sounds like you, we got some work to do. And the great thing is that we can do something about it, right? But I want to explain this a little bit further. So here's a more in-depth picture of how the survival metabolism work. You get a signal, whether it's a stressor from physical, emotional, chemical, or thermal, and your pancreas, your gut, your adrenals, they all respond. Okay, so the pancreas and the adrenals, they increase blood glucose, and your gut slows down in digestion, right? Because if you're running away from a tiger, you're not going to have time to eat an apple. So your body reallocates energy resources, and over time, if this is prolonged, then you get a altered response, right? You get increased inflammation, nutrient depletion, your body adapts. And most times, people will only do something when it's in the dis-ease state. And that's the time where they'll seek out help. And usually by that time, it's very, very difficult to get an instantaneous change. And that's what everybody wants, right? They want the instantaneous change. I want to take a pill. I want to do an exercise or whatever to reverse all of this stuff. But it takes time to get the body to realize that it's safe. Right. Again, metabolism is a signal response. Now, but what are the signals that make it feel unsafe? These are the 5 things that I've noticed that what I call the 5 metabolism breakers. Number 1, blood sugar dysregulation. Number 2, circadian imbalance. Number 3, stress overburden. Number 4, gut dysregulation, which comes along with inflammation. And 5, the lack of movement. So everybody knows these things. And you notice that all of these things are choices that and the choice that we make creates the signal that our metabolism respond to. So, you have a choice to drink water or liquid sugary drinks. And that sometimes includes healthy smoothies. I see a lot of patients, they're like, but doc, I've been drinking these healthy smoothies, not realizing that is creating a lot of blood sugar dysregulation. Okay? Or they're skipping over protein or not getting enough protein in their diet. Remember, protein is the backbone for your body to repair the cells. Or they may have poor light exposures, meaning that they're not getting enough sunlight and they're getting too much artificial light. All these things are choices that creates a response in the body. And the response is survival. Right? So when the body gets these signals of threat, it responds through the survival mechanism, but it's only supposed to be for short term. But when it's prolonged, then because the body's like, wait, we're still running away from a tiger? Okay. We need to allocate resources. We need to, work on this budget here because we're not getting out of this situation we're going to be here for a long time. So this is why your metabolism starts to slow down. It's favoring a survival response of preservation. Okay, remember I told you that it's not necessarily because of aging. It has everything to do with the signal that it's getting. And this is the response. It's slowing down your metabolism for preservation. So what do we do? How are we going to get the metabolism revved back up again? So this is a easy 3-step process called the RPM anchor sequence. Step 1 is getting your rhythms back in alignment. Step 2 is anchoring your protein to intake. And step 3 is movement. Right? Really, really simple. So step 1, you got to anchor your daily rhythms. This helps to reset the stress response, right? Improve your light exposures, improving your sleep, improving your food timings. But the number one thing is resetting the stress response. Because remember I said, if your body does not feel safe, it's always going to respond in survival mode. So you can do all the rest of the stuff, the other 3, right? Light exposure, sleep, proper food timing. But if it's in the stress response, it's not going to work as effective as you want it to be. So whenever you have altered rhythms, you have altered signals. Whenever you have altered stress, you have altered response to the circadian things. Okay, you have disrupted sleep, you have an altered circadian cortisol curve, and this will the response and the outcome with all of that is fatigue and fat gain, difficulty gaining back energy, difficulty losing and burning the fat. So it has nothing to do with your discipline, has nothing to do with your diet, has nothing to do with all of that stuff in front of stuff like the stress response and your altered rhythms. So if you've been following me for a while, especially like on Instagram, you know that I'm big on circadian rhythms driven by light, and that there's a huge cascade that happens with that. But, and this is the big but, if your body is locked in on stress mode, your response and how you take in light to your body is not going to respond properly. So we know that any stressors that you're undergoing is going to shift the pacemaker of your body called the SCN. It's going to shift it, and you're not going to respond to light in a proper way. And this is why a lot of people, they hear about circadian biology and circadian rhythms and utilizing the sun and different types of light exposures to get that back into order and wondering why they're not getting the response that they want. And it's because their body is stuck in fight or flight. Okay. So I want you to realize that. And there's, a bunch of different things that I work on with patients to help become more resilient towards stress. But the biggest one is breath work, right? If you can control your breath. And what I tell patients is a simple one of, I want you to sit down, breathe in through your nose. Let's make it something simple. Breathe in through your nose and be conscious about that for 5 seconds. Hold that for about 2 to 3 seconds, and then exhale for 5 to 7 seconds. You want to control your breathing through the nose in a slow, rhythmic process. This in and of itself is going to lower that stress response in your body. And there's a whole myriad of things that you can add onto this as well, but we're just going to keep it simple, okay? Step number 2 is anchoring your protein. This is another simple thing too. Aim for 1 gram of protein for every pound of ideal body weight. For most people, that comes out to about 30 to 50 grams of protein per meal. And the reason being is that protein, in terms of what's called the thermic effect, meaning that you are taking in one of these 3 macronutrients, it has the highest thermic effect, meaning how much energy or how much it raises your caloric burn per se, right? It gets more technical than that, but I just want you to realize this. Protein burns faster, okay? Not faster, I should say, burns more. So in relation to fats and carbohydrates, but it also does a myriad of other things. It stabilizes your blood glucose because it increases your satiety, meaning that you'll feel fuller longer. It helps to build muscle, which is your prime metabolic engine, and it regulates your hormones, okay? Specifically the hormones that are involved with hunger and your thyroid. So anchoring your protein is very important. So just start with making sure that you're getting 30 to 50 grams of protein per meal. So what does that look like? I know a lot of you may have questions with that. So a quick rule of thumb, animal proteins, 4 ounces of meat or fish is roughly between 25 to 35 grams. If you don't know what 4 ounces looks like, that's probably the size of the palm of your hand. Or if you wanted to get more exact, just go and get a food scale. Okay? Examples of 30 to 35 protein meals. A can of tuna is about 30 grams of protein. A chicken breast, 4 ounces, cooked 35 grams. Greek yogurt, about 2 cups. That's about 35 to 40 grams. 50 gram protein examples, salmon, 6 ounces. Ground beef, 5 to 6 ounces. 2 eggs and 1 cup of egg whites. So you guys, I want you to understand what does that look like, and then aim for 30 to 50 grams of protein per day. And step 3 is anchoring your movement. I want you to aim for about 10 to 12 minutes of light movement after your meals. For most people, walking is the easiest. You don't have to go and do a whole workout regimen, just walk. Or if maybe you're at your job and you can't go walking and you're at a desk, stand up, do some squats, raise, your heels, do heel lifts, do some type of movement for about 10 to 12 minutes. What this does is it helps to regulate your blood glucose alongside, moving the lymphatics and all that kind of stuff. So movement after you eat, super, super important. So the 3-step RPM process is getting up with the sun. This is anchoring your rhythms. Get up with this, get some sun, go outside for a little bit, and make sure that you're resetting your circadian rhythms. You're doing your breathing, you're doing your breath work to decrease stress. Meal number 1, 30 to 50 grams of protein. After your meal, walk for 10 to 12 minutes. You got meal 2, do the same thing. Meal 3, do the same thing. And then in the evening, turn down the lights in your home, turn down the lights on your devices, and go to sleep, aiming for somewhere between 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Very simple. Do this on a consistent basis. I say aim for about 7 to 14 days of doing this consistently, and you'll notice massive differences in what's going on in your body. But now here's the overarching issue. A lot of people tell me, well, doc, I already know all this stuff. And knowing, isn't the problem, right? The problem is, what do you do first and next and so on? It's having a system to follow so that you don't have to think about things and you don't have to ruminate about all the stuff. It eliminates all the, hey, I found all of these things on Instagram and trying to make sense about it. And I get a lot of people that tell me that. And then how to do it consistently, being accountable and having accountability. And then what to adjust and how to troubleshoot when things happen, making course corrections along the way. And that's exactly why I built this thing called the Metabolic Momentum Accelerator. So if it's okay with you guys, I'm going to take about 5 to 8 minutes to explain a little bit about the Metabolic Momentum Accelerator so that you guys can get a bigger picture of how this can help you. So what it is in a nutshell, it's a six-week signaling reprogramming accelerator protocol. Well, that's a mouthful. It's built around the 3 non-negotiables, the RPM, and a 2-minute daily scorecard. So it's very, very simple for you to do, keeps you accountable. It gives you a step-by-step, do this and do this, right? And this will allow you to have more consistent energy. So eliminating that 3 p.m. crash, calming the cravings down, helping your sleep rhythm to improve, right? Creating a simple default routine pattern and, decreasing this is the big one, decreasing the weight and waste and decreasing inflammation, regulating blood sugar, and then helping you to create your own personal momentum blueprint. And then also what would be like a 24 to 48 hour reset plan so that just in case you kind of quote unquote fall off the wagon, what can you do to get back on course? So how does the program run? So on Mondays, once you get into the program, on Mondays, a lesson will drop for you. Right? And this will teach you like what you need to be doing and then what your weekly targets are going to be. And then after that, you do some implementation. And then Thursdays, we'll do some troubleshooting and a momentum check. And then Fridays are the live office hours where you can ask questions and then you'll get answers. This is the office hours that we're going to be doing on Fridays. And every single day, you'll have a scorecard where you'll look at your entire day and you'll rate your day. so that you can see, am I actually doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing? And if I'm not, what am I going to do to get back on track? This is why I put together this entire protocol and this program in this way, so that you guys get the support that you need throughout the entire course of your program. So the plan looks like this. Week 0, when you enroll, this is your week 0. This is what we call the start. You're going to go through all the things that you need to get in order for you to set up yourself for success. Week 1 is all about priming the foundation, getting the rhythms and insulin, all that kind of stuff, getting that ready. Then week 2 is where we start to stabilize your blood sugar, stabilize the 3 p.m. crash. Week 3 is where that's when we start implementing the exercise regimens, where I'm going to teach you guys whether it's just walking in steps, protein touch points, strength training. Week 4, we're going to go through a calm protocol. This is where we're going to dive into the gut, the inflammation, getting that all clear. Week 5 is a rest and recovery. How do we get restful sleep? How do we interrupt the stress response? And then how do we progress from that? And then week 6 is locking in. This is where we tie everything back together, creating your personal blueprint, your reset plan, and what are you going to do for the next 30 days to really solidify, lock this in so that it becomes part of your daily routine. Okay, that's the entire plan. So here's what you get. You'll get the Metabolic Momentum Accelerated Core Training weeks 0 through 6. That's a $497 value. You get a daily app ready scorecard, a momentum check system, that's a $197 value, a momentum meal builder, and a grocery list so that you don't have to think about what you need to have. You'll have it all there for you, $147 value. 3 fallback meals for chaotic days. I know some of you guys, chaotic days, I don't want to think. What am I? Easy to put together. A done-for-you plan, $97 value. You're going to get the 3 p.m. Rescue Protocol ebook for $97. A strength template, strength progression, simple plug-and-play stuff for $147 value. Personal momentum blueprints. I'm going to help you to create this blueprint. And what are you going to do if you need a 24, 48-hour reset protocol? A $297 value for that. And you're going to get community access. You're going to get coaching, the Q&As, and accountability for, it's a $597 value. So the total value for this entire program is $2,000 plus. Okay. So this is for the person that you feel like the body's just resisting. You're getting that 3 p.m. crash. You're tired of starting over every single Monday. You want the fat loss, but you also want to do that with more energy, better sleep, fewer cravings. You want to go through extreme dieting. You want a simple, repeatable system. You want clear targets, a clear plan, what to do first, second, third, and you're ready to build a metabolism that will feel steady, calm, and dependable. That's who this is for. So you have 2 doors that you can go through. Door number 1 is, I just want the 6-week reset, the MMA course. That's $497. You'll get the 6-week protocol, the lock-in roadmap. You'll get the daily scorecard, momentum checks, the meal builder, the strengthen steps plan, your personal momentum blueprint. And that's a one-time payment. You don't have a membership, just one-time payment of $497. Or if you wanted the full access for the vault and all that kind of stuff, that's door number 2. You get full access to the Thrive 120 community. That's $97 a month. This is the best value because you get the entire course, everything that's listed in door number 1. But you also get community support and discussions. You get new trainings I add monthly. I have a whole section that has all of my protocols. You get monthly workshops. You get all of the different things that I don't necessarily publish in public. You get that all in there, plus all the different courses that I have currently, like the Total Gut Restore, the Total Hormonal Harmony. You get the Slim Down program. You get the Cellular Reboot Accelerator. All those things are all in there. So that's way more on top of the things that you would just get if you just got the course. Now, some people, they don't want that. They just want the course. Perfectly fine. Door number 1's for you, $497. You're golden. Door number 2, if you wanted the full support, $97 a month. That's the best value. 7-day free trial. You can cancel anytime you want. Okay. All you got to do, you just click the enroll button below and that'll get you going. I just wanted to go through a few case studies that you guys can take a look at. And these are the ones that was the latest cohort that I worked with. Okay. So case study number 1 is a person that was suffering from health anxiety, fatigue, energy, this may relate with you. Right? So before, she had a lot of health anxiety, had a lot of food sensitivities, and low energy, poor sleep. After working through the entire protocol, she noticed more energy. She started running regularly, which she was not doing. She noticed deeper sleep, a better mood, health anxiety calmed down. So she wasn't worried about all this stuff anymore. She felt more confident, more in control. Because what changed? We started with her protein anchoring, her walking after meals, really dialing in the light and sleep rhythm, and weekly coaching and accountability. That was the biggest one. Okay. Now remember, individual results are going to vary. But one of the things that she said to me is that, Dr. Mike was right there for the questions, answering and checking in on you and following up with you. And that was the kind of support that made all the difference for her. Because before all this, she was doing all the stuff. She knew all the stuff. But it was really this program that really helped her to get over that hill that was blocking her progress. Here's a message that I got from another member that was going through this. I was following up with her. I said, hey, how are things going? You're getting through the course. She said, hi, Dr. Mike. I started working on more cardio, and then I noticed my Bolt score breathing is when I started. My HRV was at 32. Now I'm at 50. That's a huge jump, by the way. And I'm slowly working towards all the liver prep now. I said, whoa, that's actually really good. And, I told her, I said, because one of the other things that she told me was that she started to sense her life's purpose. What? I started this program to get more energy and possibly lose some weight. But then she's like, I started to think clearer, and I noticed that I'm not living my life's purpose, right? And I said, yeah, because when you start clearing the cells out properly, they can quote unquote see better because the mind exists in all the cells. She said, yeah, I'm finally feeling that. Of course, has been the best investment. So my question to you is, where will you be in 1, 5, 10 years from now? I want you to sit back. I want you to think about, where will you? You'll be probably in one of two places. If nothing changes, then more fatigue, weight gain, sleepless nights, more doctor visits, medications, more confusion, chasing hacks, wasting money, wasting time. You'll be stuck in the cycle of stress, overwhelm, and decline. Or you take a step forward. You take a step to invest in your health, and you'll notice more energy in the mornings without having stimulants, more confidence in what to do each day, having clarity, not guessing, not just drifting along in life. Your labs, your numbers trending in the right direction, more years of healthy living, vitality, confidence. You feel in control again because you have a system that actually works, not just tons and tons of information and not knowing what to do, or trying all those things, not getting anywhere. So what I want you to do is I want you to sit back, really make a decision and understand, where will you be? If you do nothing, then nothing changes. If you do something, and whether it's door number 1 or door number 2 for you, take a step forward. I want to support you along the way. I want to help you along the way. I want to make sure that you're on the journey and living the life that you should be living, okay? So you click on the button below and get started whatever way feels most comfortable for you. Again, this is Dr. Mike saying be well and aloha.